Welcome to Mental Health Monday. My name is Mick Coyle. Coming up on the programme this week, and I'll be reminding you how you can make connections with mental health organisations within your community. It's Mental Health Monday. Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. My name's Mick Coyle and got a real cracker of an episode for you for Mental Health Monday this week. Absolutely chock-a-block busy this week. This is going out on Bank Holiday Monday at the end of May 2021. If you're listening on the bank holiday, absolutely full credit. Drop me an email, drop me a tweet. Let me know you're listening on the day it gets released. I'll be doing a lot of the publicity around it when people sort of get their normal schedules back on track on the Tuesday. But thank you to everybody as ever for supporting the program. And you've got a really interesting conversation, two interesting conversations on the way. Now, in the past, I would have described this as a celebrity special. But actually, as you'll hear from the conversation, even though these are famous faces and famous voices, they're talking about normal things, the sort of issues that you might discuss on a day-to-day basis with anyone about their mental health. So I'm going to instead call it a normal people special. First up, you're going to be hearing from Jake Quickenden. Now, you'll know Jake from a million and one different TV shows. I'm a Celeb, X Factor a couple of times, Dancing on Ice, Hollyoaks, and talking about his battles with anxiety and how he got a sense of understanding around what anxiety was. So Jake's conversation is on the way. It's dead open. It's dead honest. I think it's really going to sort of relate to many different people. And then secondly, the full conversation, and you may have seen a preview of this on social media, of my conversation with Harry Judd from McFly. Now, Harry's been kind enough to appear on this program a couple of times. And he was speaking at the start of Mental Health Awareness Week. There's a new book which is out supporting the Mental Health Foundation called Take a Breath. And it's encouraging people to get out and about. The theme for Mental Health Awareness Week this year was about green spaces and nature. And we talk about those conversations, but also his experience, really difficult experience when it comes to things like anxiety as well. So Harry's conversation is on the way. Jake Quickenden before that. And I'll start by also reminding you that the Mental Health Monday Facebook group is up and running. New members are joining all the time. It's really great to see you on board. What I'll do with that is if people are posting about mental health, I can share it with the group. Events that are coming up, particularly voluntary events and events that are free, absolutely perfect. But also people this week announcing that they've got opportunities for employment within mental health organisations. If we can keep those conversations going, absolutely, let's be part of it. The Mental Health Monday Facebook group. Just look for the artwork which matches the artwork for this podcast. First up, let's talk to Jake Quickenden then on the podcast. And let's talk about the fact that many people will think, oh, Jake Quickenden, he's always on the TV. He's done all these great shows. What could possibly he be experiencing that could be having a negative impact on his mental health?
Yeah, I get that a lot. And I think it is because I'm so loud and annoying. People automatically think that, oh, he can't have any troubles or he can't have gone through anything that affects his mental health. But that's the thing with mental health. It affects everyone in different ways. And just because I am quite loud and stuff, I still suffer with anxiety. I still worry. I still have panic attacks every now and again. So, yeah, it is surprising who thinks that, like, you can't be affected just because you're loud or just because you're outgoing. Or just because you are on stage. I had somebody once say, well, you can't suffer with anxiety, you sing on stage. And I'm like, yeah, that's what gives me the anxiety. So yeah, it does affect everybody. And that's why I kind of wanted to jump in with Thoughtful on this campaign about connecting people, because as much as a nasty comment or somebody saying, well, you can't suffer with anxiety can actually affect you. It's the opposite when somebody kind of says something nice or sends you a nice card and stuff like that. So that's why I thought it was really important, especially on Mental Health Week, that I jumped in and did this with Thoughtful.
What is it, do you think, in our brains that means that, like, you get 1,000 compliments and 1,000 people who tell you you're great, and then one thing will cut through? Well, we seem to have that built into our brains, don't we? That we let that one negative fester in a way which it shouldn't, but it does.
It really does. And I think that just comes from being people pleasers. Like, we all want to be people pleasers. We all want to be liked. Like, I don't think anyone out there that can say that they want to be disliked. I've kind of got to a point now where if you don't like me, fair enough, I can't do anything about it. But you always want to be liked. So that's why when you do see a nasty comment, you focus on that, and it can be really draining. So especially for young kids at school, and they're getting it in the playground, or they're getting it on social media. Social media is so huge at the minute. They're getting a nasty comment at, I don't know, 14, 15 years old, and how much effect that can have on them, and then kind of go through their life with that effect. It is a really crazy time we're in at the minute with the social media and with how much trolling's going on. And I think that's down to because people are unhappy. They've been unhappy in lockdown. They need to find a way of kind of amplifying their hate that they're feeling to other people. And unfortunately, that's happening far too often. And that's why, again, it's important to kind of talk and connect with people. And if you are struggling, then talk about it rather than going online and saying hateful things to other people. There's so much things you can do. Public Health England have their Every Mind Matters campaign where you fill in a mind plan, and it gives you things that you can do to help. Do you know what I mean? So there's so many things, there's so many charities you can talk to and stuff like that. But like you say, it's just a very weird time when you get 100 nice messages and you really focus on the one negative.
You've done your own sort of social media boycott and said, I'm taking a bit of time away. What was that moment for you that thought, whoa, hang on a minute, let's step away?
Yeah. Do you know, the thing is with me, like I do live my life through social media, and I totally get that. I put pretty much everything on there, but it's kind of become my job in lockdown that I'm posting all day and stuff. I remember at the start of the last lockdown, I was just getting comments. It was the same comments saying like, stop trying to be relevant. Stop trying to be relevant. And I was thinking, well, I don't care about relevance. I'm relevant to the people that care about me. I'm relevant to my family. I'm relevant to my friends. I'm not trying to stay relevant. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to work and I'm trying to earn money to live. And it was that comment that was just getting me. I just thought, I couldn't get my head around the fact that some people don't think you're relevant. And I just said, right, I'm having a few days off social media. I think I did 4 or 5 days off it. And then I came back on, and it was nice to have that cleanse, to kind of not worry about posting, because that can give people anxiety. I know it can. I've got a lot of friends that post a lot on their Instagram, and they get quite anxious about the fact that, oh my God, I might not have a new photo to post, so I might not have anything to talk about. So it's nice sometimes to take that break. But yeah, I do enjoy the good side of social media is you do get a lot of lovely people on there as well.
It's hard though, isn't it, growing up in a society whereby you're almost not allowed to have any downtime. You're not allowed to have any sort of peaks and troughs. You've got to be at a peak the whole time. And then there's almost like an assumption that you're going to be at that peak as well. And if for 1 minute you're not, or you drop your game for a little bit, that suddenly you're irrelevant, and you just think that's not what life is like. And that's problematic from a worldview point of view, and it causes serious problems, many other people as well. But also, if there's a generation of people growing up with that attitude, that you're either relevant or you're not relevant, so you're either in the in crowd or you're out, that's a problem for them as well, isn't it, in terms of how they'll view and understand the world in the future?
100%. Like I was saying, everybody's relevant to someone. Just because I'm not on TV every night don't mean that I'm not relevant to my mum. Do you know what I mean? And part of my industry is you do worry a lot about work, because you go from working a lot to not working to then you're back on the TV, then you're back doing something else, and it is a worrying kind of industry to be in. And then when you get people thrown in there that you're trying to be famous or you're trying to stay relevant, it was never about the fame for me when I went on X Factor. It was about doing something that I loved. My dad, before he passed away, always used to say to me, if you find something that you love doing, you'll never work a day in your life. So I wanted to do something that I loved, and I just happened to get some amazing opportunities from it that I'd be a fool to turn down. Do you know what I mean? It's given me an amazing life, and I'm going to ride the wave until my surfboard breaks. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, definitely everybody's relevant to someone, and that's a message that should definitely be out there. Like, just because you're not relevant to Tom, Dick and Harry, you're relevant to your family and friends, and that's really all that matters.
What would your dad say about online social media trolls?
My dad wouldn't have Instagram because he didn't have a clue about anything like that. But my dad was a bit of a bruiser, to be honest. So he'd probably tell me to do something stupid, um, which I can't do because I'm definitely not that kind of person. But yeah, I don't think he would have been able to get his head around it. It wasn't really big before my dad passed away. It's been 12, 13 years now. And I think social media's got massive in that time. But yeah, he was the kind of dad that would be like, any problems you face them head on. Do you know what I mean? And that's maybe why I do argue a lot with people online. That's my dad in me going, they can't say that. Say something back to him. And I feel like sometimes you can't do that because that's what they want. You kind of poke in the fire when you do that. Yeah.
As you've sort of spoken about your mental health experiences and talked about your anxiety, and we're talking about sort of making those connections, those positive connections with people, has that been a game changer for you?
Yeah,
being able to be open about it.
100%. I feel like the more I talk about it, and I talk about it on my social media as well, and it goes out to however many people, and the messages I get like, oh, it's lovely seeing somebody with a big platform talk about being anxious because we'd never have known and stuff like that. So just connecting in that way. Also, I talk to my mum a lot more openly about it now. And I can say to her, I'm having a terrible day. I feel so anxious, I can barely breathe. And she just says, calm down. Tomorrow's a new day. You'll be fine. You know how to deal with it. Go for a nice long walk or go to the gym. And usually when I do that, I feel 10 times better afterwards. It's a funny one with my girlfriend because Sophie's never suffered with any kind of anxiety or anything like that. So even talking to her and explaining kind of how I look at things or how I deal with things, that helps because it's to somebody that's never really dealt with it. So she's actually really interested to hear about it. Do you know what I mean? So definitely connecting and talking and kind of being open about it, I think is the biggest help of any kind of mental health.
Yeah, and actually, it's great that you've got the sort of the language to be able to describe that, because I know there'll be plenty of people who will just think it's not about a feeling or a situation I'm in. This is how I am. This is the way I see the world, and that's when it becomes a problem. If people aren't educated in it, they don't understand that actually you can communicate. There are pathways you can take. There are conversations you can have that can completely change your outlook on life and put you on a much better path.
100%, 100%. Like you said, before I kind of knew what anxiety was, I just thought, why am I so out of breath? Why can't I used to describe it by my deep breath. Do you know when you take a big breath? I never, when I'm at my most anxious, I can't get that breath. And I used to say to my mum, I'm suffocating here. I can't breathe. And then when I did my research on it and stuff, and I realized that was kind of my way of my anxiety, it became much more easy to talk about and kind of know that it will pass. It's not every day. I don't have to, even though I'm living with it and I'm living with anxiety every day, it doesn't define me. I can still go out and do exactly what I want to do, live my life exactly how I want to live my life, but just know some days might be a little bit tougher. If I know that those days are coming, when they do come, it's a lot more easy to deal with them.
For people who are going through it right now who haven't been able to sort of communicate it in the way that you've been able to do it, Jake, what would you say to them about finding a way forward?
I would just say, try and find somebody that you can talk to that will understand, and don't put too much pressure on yourself and don't worry about it too much. Know that there is options out there. Like, you don't have to live with this in silence. There is options out there. There's people to talk to. And just because you're having a down day one day doesn't mean the next day is not going to be a brilliant day. Do you know what I mean? And that's so important to remember, because when you are at your lowest and you think that every day is going to be like that, that's when you kind of really start struggling. But if you know that you are going to come out of it and tomorrow will be a better day, it might only be 2% better. It's better than the day before. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, really communicate, stay connected with those people that you love, and and it'll get easier.
Jake Quickenden, thank you for joining us on the program today. Really appreciate you speaking to us.
Legend. Thanks so much, buddy.
Oh, what a lovely fella Jake Quickenden is. Real pleasure to get him on the podcast. Thanks for listening to the programme this week. Don't worry, more to come right now. Harry Judd from McFly, believe it or not. Now, Harry's been really kind to this programme in the past. He was on at the start of lockdown in the year just gone. He also appeared on the 24-hour show that we did on Radio City Talk just a few years ago. A really positive advocate when it comes to mental health. And I was speaking to him at the start of Mental Health Awareness Week.
It's Simply Health that have because it's Mental Health Awareness Week, they've teamed up with the Mental Health Foundation to create their Take a Breath campaign, which is all about encouraging people to get outside and embrace nature to improve their well-being and their mental health. Obviously something that's I've experienced firsthand, so I was happy to get on board and encourage that and spread that message. Along with the campaign, the Take a Breath campaign, they've got an ebook which I've contributed to, which has got several kind of personal anecdotes from myself and coping mechanisms and other things that people can look into to benefit their well-being. And so you can download that ebook through the Simply Health website, and also each ebook that's downloaded, Simply Health will make you a £5 donation to the Mental Health Foundation. So it's a great campaign, and I'm really happy to be involved.
It's been good to hear that the message around getting out and about, the green theme for this year's Mental Health Awareness Week has really seemed to come through in the media reports. There might be some people, Harry, who would say, you know what, I've not been able to get out of bed for the last 2 or 3 days. The last thing I want to be doing is going for a walk through the countryside. And I guess we're all on a journey in regards to that. Well, what do you say to people who are in that sort of circumstance, who maybe can't foresee or can't even imagine a time where they could enjoy being out and about?
Yeah, well, I'd say I've been there. Like I've had periods where I've been there where, getting out of bed can be the hardest thing. That can often be the biggest struggle of the day. But I can guarantee you, once you manage to get yourself up and about and, get out there, there's many actual factual reasons why being out in nature can help. But the things that you naturally feel, well, I've actually found, and research has been shown to prove that it does help, is just the fresh air, a bit of exercise, even if it's just light exercise, that connection with nature. We're human beings, and there's just that natural requirement, I think, for us to have that connection with nature. And I think I'd say to people, you'd be surprised. That getting out, going for a bit of a walk, connecting with nature, I think it's, particularly if you're struggling, it can, something that seems quite small can have a huge impact, positive impact.
When you think back to the times that you experienced, the negative mental health and the difficult times, how do you see that now? How do you look back at that time? Because I imagine at the time it felt very real. It was very current, and it can be all consuming, can't it, as a feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I describe it. Completely all consuming. But I think, you can look back on it with hope and kind of, positivity, and feeling like, even though you can remember those times, it feels, as you say, all consuming, and feels like you're stuck. There is a way out. And once you're out, it's a build back up. And, you then can look back, and it's hard to then reconnect with those, awful feelings that you felt. So yeah, it's something I look back on with kind of caution. It's something that I always have at the back of my mind, and it motivates me to just keep living a certain lifestyle, looking after the things that are important to me. Because I don't want to have to feel like that.
Often people say, if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have found myself in that situation. And yet we're all on this journey, aren't we, in regard to learning about our mental health. If we did know more about mental health, and if you knew more back then, you could have been away from that path, or even not even near that path, that could have taken you somewhere completely different, somewhere more positive and more quickly as well. It's so important that we get that right, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And I think we're learning more as we go, and, things like what we're doing today and a plethora of other examples are providing people with the tools required to help with their well-being. There's a long way to go still, I think, but yeah, it's very important. But I think also life, you're going to make mistakes that are going to lead you down, difficult scenarios, and that's something that can't be avoided. But as long as you can learn from those things, it's just it's same. It's so cliched, but it is like you'd be hard pressed to find anyone that's had a perfect life, So I think it's hard to kind of avoid things sometimes, but I think as long as people are equipped to deal with the scenarios, then that's certainly a good thing.
Do you have like a thing that you do, almost a response now when you start to see sort of shadows of maybe things you experienced in the past? Do you have sort of those sort of measures you immediately kick into place to say, right, I'm recognizing those signs, I'm changing the direction I'm going in?
Yeah, definitely. A big one for me is just routine and sleep. Getting into a good routine. If work allows, trying to sort of go to bed at roughly the same time, get up around the same time. Really simple things like that, getting enough sleep, but not just enough sleep, but sleep at the right time, and just looking after my diet and fitness, getting outside. It's a big one for me, whether that is just getting out for a little bit in a day, but generally for me, I prefer to do some good exercise like running or whatever it may be. Yeah, definitely. I kind of switch straight back to that when I kind of feel myself, taking my foot off the gas.
Sleep's the one for me. I think you feel invincible when you're younger. Your lifestyle leads you to think, well, you know what? Sleep is the thing that I can cut out. And I think it's parenthood is the thing that makes you realize, oh, hang on a minute, both for my children and for myself, like no sleep, no way.
No. I don't know how people do it. I met someone the other day who's a lawyer, and he works till like 1 a.m, and then he's up and starting again at 8. And I'm just like, I just don't like how you do that. I'm like, mate, I'm in bed at like 10 o'clock. But yeah, everyone's different, and like you said, for me, I'm a better person when I'm well slept, for sure.
Is it a rock and roll thing to do now when you're on tour, when you get back out on tour and you're in the hotels and you've got the stopovers, you've got the long flights, and you're going to be saying to the lads, 10 o'clock, it's quarter to 10, it's bedtime. Is that something you'd be able to do?
It's not achievable on tour because you're still on stage at 10 o'clock. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much as unrock and roll as it comes now. But yeah, I know I like to do the gig and then kind of just cool down, like wind down, get off that kind of adrenaline. And just, the routine changes on tour, obviously, but it just gets pushed back a bit. But yeah, I think the guys, you'd be surprised, they're pretty similar to me now. They don't like staying up late and being tired, and particularly for the singers, their voices, you've got to look after their voices and physically as well. You're not as kind of, I see these classic memes, like doing stuff, and you're like, when you're a teenager, you just do like crazy stuff. And then when you're in the 30s, you sleep wrong one night, in the wrong position. You wake up, you're like, oh. Like the last show we did because of the pandemic was the O2 in November 2019, and I remember I was in pain for 3 or 4 days afterwards. So yeah, I find we all find doing a bit of exercise and just looking after ourselves, because then you enjoy the tour so much more. You enjoy the experience because you're not in pain and not tired.
The rock and roll days, well, they're still here. They've just changed, and they've
changed. Yeah, I'm afraid the McFly, we're not flying that flag, that rock and roll flag. We used to, but we've handed in the white. We've posted the white flag now. We give up.
You're now McFlu.
We are done. We're done. Mc done.
Thank you so much for your time, Harry. That wasn't the end of McFly, by the way. That wasn't you sensationally announcing that McFly will never perform again, was it? I was going to say, I didn't mean to walk into Showbiz exclusive, but you almost gave me one there.
No, all good in McFly world. We're just, we're all together, and we've just started actually in the studio together, and, fingers crossed, hopeful that the, things keep improving with the pandemic and we can play some shows very soon.
I was going to say, does that involve new material, new album?
Well, yeah, we're kind of now, because of the pandemic, this, there's not much we've been able to do. So we're kind of just, because we're all 4 of us have, well, 3 of us have families and got other things going on, but we found ourselves kind of coming to we've got a studio now, and just started working on stuff, and just loosely kind of working on some new material.
Good stuff. Good to hear. Good to see you keeping busy. Good to see you getting out and about as well. Just mention the Simply Health website as well, where people can check out the new ebook as well.
Yeah, I believe it's simplyhealth.co.uk, and where you can download the ebook, which hopefully will benefit those downloading it. And also, as I said, there's a £5 donation for each ebook downloaded. So donation to the Mental Health Foundation. So yeah, it's a great cause, and I hope whoever downloads it enjoys it.
Thank you so much, Harry. Really appreciate it, pal. Good to see you.
Thanks, Mick.
Speak soon.
Mate.
I hope you've enjoyed this week's podcast. Thanks for checking out Mental Health Monday. My name is Mick Coyle. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Mick Coyle. You can also find me, Mick Coyle, on Facebook as well. Don't forget, if you want to speak to somebody about your mental health, you can do so. The Samaritans, free to call on 116 123. You can find mental health services where you are. Just look for the Hub of Hope. Type in your postcode. It'll find those mental health services close to you. And for support in a crisis, you can text SHOUT to 85258. That's if you're experiencing a personal crisis, you're unable to cope and need support. Shout to 85258. That's a text line. Do get involved in those services. In an absolute emergency, always remember the number to call is 999. Thanks for downloading the podcast this week. We'll be back next week with more Mental Health Monday.